Welcome to Decoded Stories with the Code, where I sit down with tech professionals, creatives, and innovators to decode their stories behind their journeys. Like the ones you never get a chance to hear of. I am your host, Nyamiche Honor. We are live with Shay. What's up, sis?
What up, bro?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good.
Yeah?
And I also want to say, I'm just proud of you for doing this. I
Oh,
feel like we kind of started our journeys around the same time. So it's nice to see you doing your thing. So
yeah.
congrats to you.
I appreciate you. I feel like the way we met, like it's kind of funny, honestly. You know what I mean? In boot camp for like two
Yeah.
seconds, and then you left. You left me. You escaped.
Because
Um,
that's right around the time that I pivoted to do more cloud stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
were we were like pushing each other like, okay, so it's cool to see.
yeah, yeah. And that's dope. It's dope. It's dope. Well, thank you for joining the podcast. I appreciate you. Um, the way you honored this invitation, like I hit you up and I was like, "Yo, I want you to be on this podcast. Like, I would be honored if you can slide through." And you were like, "Yes." And you just
Immediately.
made it happen immediately. You just made it happen. So I want to appreciate you for hopping on and just sliding through and just honoring my invitation. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So let's do. How do I want to post this? Let's do a quick introduction, right? For the
Okay.
people who don't know who you are, right? Tell them who you are, what you do, um, a little background. You know what I mean? Give them a little spill about who you are.
Okay, so if you don't know me, my name is Shay, aka Shay in the Cloud,
Let's go.
across all the social platforms. I wear many hats. I used to be strictly software developer, full stack, and then I really got into cloud and I was a cloud engineer. And that shifted into a DevOps role, which is kind of what I do. That's where I shine. It's DevOps is still cloud. But more importantly, where I am now in my phase of tech is developer advocacy. And developer advocacy is basically the middle person between the developer and whatever company you work for, whether it's a service or product. And so you still have to be technical, but you still have to know how to talk to developers and see, what they like, what they don't like, and different things like that. And so you create content, you do technical workshops, on site events, all the things that I already do kind of as a tech content creator. You just do it full time for a company and you're a developer advocate. It's more technical though. And so that's where I'm at now. Came from a non technical background. I was a dental assistant for almost 8 years. COVID hit and I had to pivot, and it was the perfect time to just do something different. So that's me. That's what I do, you know.
I love it. I love it. I used to want to become a dental hygienist.
Did you really? I was in
Yeah.
school for that. I literally was taking classes and I was like, nah, let's go full force.
Yeah. I think I took like an internship to become. I was like what was I doing? I was like a dental like assistant, something like
Yes.
that. But I was like doing like more of the admin work for like 2 days. And I was like,
That's
this ain't for me, bro. I can't
that's
I
what I
can't do
need.
it. I can't do it. How did you like almost get into like dentistry? How'd that happen?
So I was a military spouse and I was overseas in Italy. We were there for 3 years, and the Red Cross was doing this free boot camp. And I've always been a type of person like, I think every woman should kind of have your own money, regardless of if you're in a relationship or not. You should always kind of have your own source of income. That's just how I feel. And so, plus, I just like doing stuff. It sounds like, okay, dental is cool. I like stuff where I'm on my feet, I can move around. Because I initially went to school to be a veterinarian and then a kinesiologist, like it's sports medicine, kinesiology. So it's always been something more medical anyway. And so I was like, okay, dentistry is cool. And so I got into that program and I ended up loving it. Like if I was to quit tech today and go back to dental, I would remember everything. That's how long
Wow.
I was doing it.
Wow.
So yeah, there's been times I've had to fall back on dental, especially when I was doing just like internships,
Mhm.
apprenticeships. I still was having to do dental part time just for extra income. But yeah, dental is cool.
That's dope. Let me do this. I'm gonna give you an icebreaker, right? Just to break the ice. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and do a segment called this or that. I don't know if you've seen it or not. So all my
Yes.
guests, we do like a this or that. So I just give you a scenario and you pick this or that. All right.
Okay.
Now let's
Let's
go.
go.
So if you could have dinner with one tech innovator, right, past or present, who would it be?
One tech innovator. I think it would have to be, I don't know her name, but like one of the women who were involved with NASA, like the first group of Black women at NASA, that, they made a whole movie about it and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
I would love to sit down with those women or any of them,
Okay.
um, and just get that grind, that like never ending spirit, and just that push, because I feel like we one of my favorite quotes is we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And so I would love to kind of go back and just see the spirit of those women in action.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. I feel like I don't want to give mine because I feel like it's gonna be like a big controversy.
Go say it. We need to know.
I should say it. This is
Yeah,
my podcast, so I'm gonna say it if I want to say it.
it gets the
So
people.
low key, Elon.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew,
Oh, for
only
real?
because it was controversial. I'm like,
Yeah. So
no.
the funny thing is, like when Tesla first came out, like I was a big fan of Tesla. Like to this day,
Yeah.
that's like my dream car. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I think it stems from then and from that. And I feel like I have my reservations on Elon. I ain't gonna hold y'all. But I feel like he's up to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that's probably not good for the masses. And
No,
I'm
it's,
and I'm curious to like know what it is. You know what I mean?
oh, you want the inside scoop.
I want the inside scoop. You know what I mean? I want to like, so why are you doing X, Y, and Z? Like,
What's the big picture?
what's the big picture? I want to know. You know what I mean? Is that controversial?
No,
Are they gonna
I
cancel me?
absolutely not.
All right,
Especially
bet.
because your reasoning is
Yeah.
like, we're probably all having that same line of thinking. What's the end goal? I would
What's
love
the
to
end
know.
goal? Yeah. Would you buy a Tesla? Like, are you into Teslas?
I thought about it because I do like electric cars, but
Okay.
my dream car is a Lucid. Have you seen the Lucid
I
electric car?
have. I have.
Ooh, the bad boys is
Them a
sleep.
fire. They fire.
Those, I'm gonna get one of those, and
Okay.
then other cars, probably a Corvette. I want a Stingray.
Ooh.
Yeah,
A Corvette.
like
Okay.
that thing. Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad
And
at
then
you.
electric.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so let's move on to the this or that question. So I got this segment for you. I'm gonna just read off of this for you. All right. So would you rather build your own tech startup or work at a big company?
At this point in my life, send me to the company.
The
I
big
don't
company?
a tech startup like my own. I
I mean, it
can't
don't gotta
even.
be your own. It could be somebody's startup.
Oh yeah, I work at a startup. I
Yeah.
work at a startup.
Over a big established company.
Yeah,
Why is that?
you have a lot of room for growth at startups, especially for what I'm doing, which is developer advocacy.
Yeah.
And you can see the impact that you're making. Whereas at a bigger tech company, you kind of, if I'm being realistic, you're just a drop in the bucket. Like if we're being realistic from a business perspective,
Yeah.
you can make an impact, but it's not going to be such a big thing that you can measure like OKRs and KPIs. When you are at a startup, you have nowhere to go but up. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I think for what I'm trying to do and really see how I can leverage my skill set, I think a startup would be dope.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, I think it depends on who you're speaking to. I don't.
Yeah.
There's no like right or wrong answer. You know what I mean? Like you said, I
No.
feel like a bigger company they've already established like their rules, right? They've already
Yeah.
established like processes, and so you got to come in and fit into that box, right? And I feel like, and let me know if you agree with this or not. I feel like if you go to a bigger company, and if you're trying to make I feel like it's harder to make an impact, it's harder to innovate at a bigger company. Would you agree with me?
True. Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if you are that kind of person, you might get pushed back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. And it also depends on the role. So,
True.
uh, if you're doing software development, it's the same as if you were at a startup. But
Yeah.
when you're more of a front end, like, talking to customers and bringing people in, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. But I mean, am I opposed to either one? Absolutely not. I'll gladly take a nice chunky offer and get
Bring the bag. That's what you're looking for.
that.
Bring the
Okay.
bag. Bring.
Financial security.
There
Okay.
you go. Yeah, that's a whole topic. Financial
Mm,
security in this like in today's day and age. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
So let's do this. Let's do this. I'm curious to know, like, how did you get into tech? Like, why tech? I know you mentioned dentistry, right? Obviously, they get the bag too, right? So, what made you pivot from? They don't?
Not assistants. Hygienists,
Mm,
yes.
okay.
But tech pays. Tech
Okay.
pays. And when I was getting into it and stuff, like, there's a work-life balance. I have
Mm,
two boys, and when I was doing dentistry, sometimes I had to be there at 5 a.m. I didn't leave till 5:30, 6 o'clock. By the time I got them, we did homework, bath, dinner.
yeah.
I'm lucky
Yeah.
if I see them on the weekend. And in dentistry, you work on the weekends.
Mm,
The dental office is open. And so I felt like I did not see my kids. And that was the first red flag for me. I was like, this is not what I want. And also, it's a skill set, nobody can take away. Like, you having that intelligence, and you can go anywhere you want. You can work remotely. I know the atmosphere and the climate is changing a little bit, but from dentistry to tech, work life balance, higher pay, and just a lot more room for growth. Because in dentistry, you could be a hygienist, a dentist if you want to, different specialties. But in tech, you can go so many different routes. You can technically make up your own role if you
yeah.
really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so there's just so many things that you can do. And I think that sold it for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned initially you were going to the software developer route. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So is that why you got into coding bootcamp? So I guess background story for those of y'all who don't know, like I said in the beginning, Shay and I we met in bootcamp, right? So why bootcamp? Was that the first thing you thought about?
Absolutely. If it's
Okay.
free, it's for me. If it's
Hmm.
free, it's for me. Okay.
Okay.
And I tell everybody that because of my background and where it comes, sometimes you don't have a lot of money. You're trying to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
scrounge together $20 to eat.
Hmm.
So if you can find a boot camp that is worth it, that is actually giving you something of value,
Yeah.
absolutely 100%
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I know that like when I was getting to like coding, right? I did a lot of self study for like a couple years. You know what I mean? And at that point, I didn't even know what boot camp was. I had no idea a coding boot camp existed, right? And I think I was online or YouTube, and I found out that hey, there's a place where you can go to learn how to code for like 6 months and come out and get a job. You know what I mean? And so I delved into that, but there were a lot of negative thoughts on boot camp at the time, and I feel like it kind of still is now. You know what I mean? So like
Mm.
how did you stumble across coding boot camp, specifically the one that we went to? How did you make that decision to that was like the best thing for you? Because I mean, you had the opportunity to self study or
Mhm.
go any other route, right? So why coding boot camp?
Wait, just to clarify, it was 100 devs, right?
No, it was Lambda school.
Oh, ah, I totally forgot about them.
Wait, what? Hold on, wait. Uh,
I, it,
back. Let's backtrack. Do you realize that you messaged me like 20, like 2 years ago on X, Twitter, right? Do you remember that?
yes,
Okay, and you thought that was from 100 Devs?
I thought that was from, I
No.
swear
Wait, how
on
many bootcamps did you go to?
two. I
I-
left Lambda
okay,
because it was paid. And I found 100 devs and it was free. And that is how I became a full stack web developer.
hold
The
up, hold
tea
up.
is piping hot.
Wait, hold up. I did. I thought I knew your story, but I guess I don't know your story. Okay, wait. Okay, so, whew. All right. So you knew
It
you wanted
was
to go the tech route.
him.
All right. So you knew you wanted to go the tech route, software engineering. So then you found Lambda School, right? Talk to me. I need to know.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Like, like, they have not been a part of my story. for years
I
because
just
I was
said,
in there and I was like, all this, you have to understand. If I could find something of equal or better value for free, why would I pay all that money? Matter of fact, I
yeah.
think this was one of the questions you have on here. I swear I forgot about Lambda School. Wow.
Hey, I'm crying right now, yo. So that's because I remember the first time we met, it was like in a huddle. Remember that? In
Yes.
Lambda school, right? And at the time I was in Texas and you were in the DMV. And we
Yeah.
connected just like that because I was born in DC, right?
Yeah.
And then it was cool
I
vibes.
think we were working on stuff together. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah.
remember.
But it was for like 2, 3 days. And then I could
Yeah.
never find you. Cause I remember I made like a cohort, like a
Yeah.
learning cohort. And I'm like, where's Shay? Where's Shay? And I'm like, what happened to you?
The money, if you can afford it, hey,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't afford it at the time. I
Mm,
could not afford it.
yeah.
And I think that was probably around the time I found 100 devs.
Mm,
And I immediately jumped in and I went
yeah,
full
yeah,
force for 100
yeah,
devs.
yeah.
Wow.
How did you find 100 devs? Like were you cause okay, so cause I know that with Lambda, right? You had
Mm.
to it was free, at least for me, it was free until I got a job. Was it the same thing for you too?
I think so, but I didn't like that. I didn't like
Yeah.
that they were going to take a portion or something.
It
And I
was
was like,
a huge chunk too. A
that's
huge
crazy.
chunk. I think it was like 17% of your pay.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So you were smart.
I said, y'all bugging. That's crazy. So I found 100 devs. I was scrolling on
Okay.
Twitter and I kept seeing people say, join 100 devs, like it's about to start. It's a free 8-month boot camp. On YouTube, it's taught by this amazing guy named Leon Noel.
Leon Lowell, yeah.
Man, from what is his I forgot his main organization, but he's out of Philly. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember from the first class, I was like,
Mm,
he's speaking my language. He knows how to teach, but also entertain and keep you motivated. It was great.
mm.
So yeah.
Wow. So you could have pulled me along, right? And you left me in there. You could have been like, "Yo, my brother, let's go to 100 dabs." And you just
Dang, I thought you saw, like, that's my
no,
bad.
no, you got mess with you. I mess with you. But I never even knew about 100 dabs until like deep into boot camp. Because the way they get you is you can't pull out until like, well, I think it's like after a month or no, after like 2 weeks or so, you can't
That's what it
get
was.
out.
And that timeline was coming up, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Get me out of here. I take it.
Oh man. Okay. So all right, now I know. So how about this? Walk me through 100 depths. Like how was it? Right? Was it
It's amazing.
it was amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Amazing.
Okay.
So it's every Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
It was live 3 hours every single
Mm,
time, 3 hours, but it was always the Pomodoro method. So the first hour was recall or recap of what we learned last class.
okay.
And then we learned the concept and then we ended with hands-on. So we would do like 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, 50 minutes, 10-minute break. And every single class there was hands-on. You opened up
Mm,
VS Code, you coded something, you built upon other concepts, CSS, HTML, JavaScript. So by the end, you did all that. You learned React, front end, back end, all of
wow.
that. We did projects every single class. We were hands on keyboard. It was absolutely amazing.
Mm,
We had job calls. I think every week or so, we were hopping on Discord and just like motivating everybody, like, hey, apply for this job. It was just really good from beginning to end. I have never seen a program
mm,
done the way that he's done it. So many sponsorships, so many like giveaways, and
mm,
and he does it all for free. I
mm.
have never, like, the amount of hours and work he put into grading assignments, it was thousands of us in there. So that man is literally a saint.
Wow.
Literally a saint.
So it was just him teaching y'all?
It
Just
was
like
just
one
him,
teacher?
him,
Wow.
just him.
Were there like
And
anything like office hours, anything like that if y'all need
yeah,
like
office hours. Sometimes he'd have like people helping out in the Discord, like answering questions and things
mm,
like that. But for the most part, that was him.
wow. So is he still doing it now? Is it still like going
Yeah,
on?
so that was cohort two. I think he's trying to do cohort three. I'm not sure when that one starts, but
Okay.
all the videos are there from day one until the last day. All the videos are there. They live forever. So you could start today from cohort two, day one, and be a full stack web developer in 8 months.
So a newbie can just go on right now for free. Go to YouTube, go to his page, and just all the videos are there. The
Start
same
right
with
there.
your you.
All the
Wow.
homework assignments, everything that I did to become a full stack web developer is there for free.
Well, you went a solid route for free. So you can become or you can get into tech for free because you know
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that's out there saying the free stuff are just watered down.
Not this one, not this
Mm,
program. That's why you hear me go so hard for 100 devs. I've never met Leon personally. I've never talked to him. He's never paid me to talk about anything. I don't think that man even knows I exist. And I will always be like,
yeah.
100 devs, guy,
Wow.
Ryan, guy.
Mm, that's dope. So okay. So after that, did they help you with job placement? Like how did that go?
So throughout the entire program, towards, I want to say a few months in, you actually start getting clients. Some of the homework assignments was you go out and you freelance, you build
Mm,
websites for people not for free. You charge them, even if it was a family member. Your sister need a website for her nail salon, charge her. But we were learning how to build full stack web
mm,
applications even while we were still learning. Halfway through the program, we were getting clients. These clients helped build up our portfolio. We got to put them on our resume. It was a way to talk and be prepared for interviews. So people were getting jobs for, like, we started front end and then we learned back end. People were getting front end developer jobs while we were still in the boot camp.
wow.
Then they were getting back end jobs, full stack. It was
Mm.
amazing, absolutely amazing. We had some of them were just like preparing you for interviews, technical interviews, behavioral interviews. It was great.
Yeah, that's dope. So talk to me about. It sounds like you had like a really good experience there, and I love that for you because I feel like my boot camp wasn't that. Like I can't go all crazy for my boot camp like how you're doing for yours
Yeah,
because I had to put like I had to do most of the work myself. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It sounds like Noah was very much invested in all of y'all. You know what I mean? Um, my boot camp, if you were not invested in yourself, you weren't going to make it. And obviously, you still have to be investing in
yeah,
yourself in your boot camp, right? But I feel like the structure for our boot camp, the the longer we went, the lower the quality was. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
now, like they're getting sued, and it's a whole bunch of stuff now. You know what I mean? And so I love the fact that you went for free. Like you had a great outcome. You have a whole career now, and you are hard for them. That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of boot camps that I could say a lot of things
Mm,
about, but all I'm going to say is if you are paying money for any boot camp, whether it's cloud or software development, please go to Trustpilot. Make sure you're going on Twitter, Reddit, reading the real deal reviews on these, boot camps, because there's no reason that if you're going to pay 7,000, 10,000, 12,000 for all of that, you need to enroll at Western Governors University, which is an actual accredited college, and you can get a full bachelor's degree in software development and computer science and cloud engineering. If you're going to pay all that money, and I think WGU is like 5K for a bachelor's. Like, come on, guys,
wow.
be for real. Be serious. And if you really want to get into tech, it requires you having to do the hard work and research. So before you kick out all that money, do your research.
Mm. Wow. So you mentioned college, right?
Mm,
What's your thoughts on college? Because there's this thing out there. There's two wars, right? If you want to get into tech, you must go to college, right? And the other side of the coin is saying if you want to get into tech, you don't need college. Go get certifications. Go to because I know you have a lot of certifications and you have boot camp also. Like, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on college?
I definitely think that having a degree is always going to give you the upper hand. And that's just the honest truth. If you were to go into an interview for most big tech companies and even startups, it's just a very old, way of thinking, and that doesn't make it wrong, but a lot of people are like, okay, you paid all that money, you went to college, you got a degree. Even if it's not in tech, they just want to see that you have a college degree. So being realistic, if you're going up against people who have a college degree, they are always going to have the upper hand unless you can get in front of those people's face and let them hear you talk about your technical expertise, your passion, things that you've built. But if it's paper to paper, they're going to have the upper hand, that college degree. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should apply. Absolutely. But I think when you come from a non-technical background like me, you have to use other ways to get the job, and that's networking. You have to network. You have to build that network of people who will speak for you and give you those referrals before you even speak to a hiring manager.
Mm.
And also build up your personal brand. I think that's a big thing. So I'm not against college. I think whatever route works for you, do that. If it's college or non-technical, I know for a fact you can get into tech either way. It's just about what works for you and what's in your budget.
Yeah, yeah. I like that because you just gave people the liberty to be like, hey, whatever works for me. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, and some people may be like, no, college is the only way, or boot camp is the only way. And
Mm,
my argument with that is like, man, you never know people's story. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I know a 55-year-old guy who was able to get into tech, right?
yeah. I
Through
think I know who you're talking about.
yeah, through a boot camp, right? And so
It
somebody
probably was like Dev.
probably it probably was. Actually, I think it was.
It is. I
I
know.
think yeah, I think it was. Yeah. And if that man has a whole family, you know what I mean, a whole career change, you can't expect him to go to a whole 4 year college and like nah. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
I like the fact that you highlighted like, hey, whatever like floats your boat, like whatever you assess your situation and see what's best for you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah.
So now that you're in tech, like what do you think like the hardest thing like is within tech? Like you personally, like when you know, would you break into tech? Like what was the hardest thing for you?
Probably be just getting over that imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't know what you're talking about. You have to learn by doing and making those mistakes. I think one of the best tips I can give anybody is to document everything. Every mistake you made, learn from it, because I think that's the way that I've learned best, especially with programming.
Hmm.
Half the time I'm debugging. I'm debugging, you know what I mean? If my project worked the first time, I'll be completely amazed. So you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to debug, and as you're debugging, just document that. And I think a lot of companies, oh my gosh, every company that I speak to, if you're documenting for the next person, whether it's in Jira, Confluence, Medium, it's just a blog, they really, really like that.
Hmm.
So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make those mistakes, I
Yeah.
think. I'm not sure if that answered your question or if you wanted like more of a technical type of
No, that's
answer.
cool. That, I mean, if you have a technical one, sure, hey, go ahead and give it. But I feel like that was great. And you mentioned one thing that I did, like documenting my journey. Like I
Yeah.
started, like I documented everything. You know what I mean? And I feel like when you realize that tech in itself is hard,
Yeah.
and other people also find ways to navigate things. You know what I mean? You're not the
Mhm.
only person who got stuck on JavaScript. You're not the only person who got stuck on React. You're not the only person who got stuck on DOM manipulation. And so I feel like when you're able to know that, you're able to share your journey. And what I've come to realize is one, you're sharing your journey to see how far you've come, right? But then
Mhm.
two, other people get to learn from your mistakes and what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've seen you like you shoot like fire content. Like I guess let me ask you this: like, why do you shoot? I mean, you're already in the tech field right now, right?
Mm.
Why are you you know shooting content? Why are you still motivating people? Why are you out there like because it is time consuming. You have a
It's
whole
all
full
about.
time yeah you have a whole full time job, but you spend time to create quality content, right? Why is that?
Well, I appreciate you thinking I make quality content.
You really do.
I I enjoy it. When I first started out, I was doing it because I wanted people to know that there are other avenues to get into tech beyond the 4 year college. And um I bring Philly up every time, and I always will. I grew up in Philly, and I just want people to know to this day, like if you're in a situation where you feel like you don't have any other options, if you have internet and even just a phone, or you can go to the library for free, you can change your life. You literally can change your life. I know the economy sounds crazy right now, but I think that's everybody. Nowhere is kind of safe, but you don't know what tomorrow holds. So if you want to get into tech, you can. And I think that's why I still make that content. I want people to know that's it. That's always been my mission statement. I just want to get as many people into tech as possible, and so they could change their lives for the better.
Yeah. Do you ever like get burnt out, like with your work schedule? You're a mom.
Hmm.
You have two kids.
Two, I have a 13-year-old and
Wow.
a 10-year-old. He's about to be 14. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out now. I'm about to go take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually was talking to some people earlier, some close friends, and I told them I have to learn how to say no because I'm
Mm.
such a goal getter that I tend to say yes to too many things. And I have an idea for an initiative or something. I'm like, let's do it. And I'm calling up people and I'm like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And everyone's like, yeah. And so I'm actually pulling back some. I'm pulling back so that I can give quality time to what I really want to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's easy to get burnt out. And I think that's the opposite of what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah. So when you get burnt out, like how do you get back to center? Because I remember I've been burnt out many times, and it's hard to, especially like when you're newbie,
Hmm.
and you're trying to learn, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. It's so easy to just be like, okay, I'm not gonna get any sleep right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pull an all nighter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you and I we can both agree that there are some days where yes, you have to pull that all nighter to finish a task or a sprint, right? But like,
Hmm.
what's your advice to anybody who is like, yo, I feel overwhelmed and I'm studying all the time. I don't have time for family. Or I just got my big boy or big girl job and I feel like I have to prove myself and I'm working, I'm doing this. Like what would be your advice to that person to just get them to like, hey, it's okay, breathe.
Honestly, go touch grass. And I mean that literally. Close your laptop. You have to set boundaries for yourself. I have to learn that at nighttime, I can't stay up reading all night. Like I'm a book nerd. I want to stay up reading till 5 a.m. But then when I wake up, it's go. Everybody needs something from me. And so I have to set boundaries. So in the morning, I don't look at my teams till 9. Yeah. But I mean, my boss and my team don't need me till about 10 anyway. But if they had sent messages after I off the clock, I'm not looking at that until 9 a.m. In the
Mm,
morning, I make time to just be me. So I'll make my tea, I'll write in my journal, I'll take a walk, I'll do something. But you have to have time and boundaries that this is just you, not you, the
mm,
software developer, not you, the student, just you. And when you have that time, that really kind of equals everything out. And it also changes your perspective because sometimes you're so zoned in on what you're trying to accomplish that you don't see anything in your peripheral. But
yeah,
you have to understand that outside of all of that, at the end of the day, you are still important as a person. And you have to make time for you as a person outside of all your goals. Um, because that stuff can be gone in a second. And
yeah,
then you still have to just,
yeah, yeah.
be healthy.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned that you're a mother of two. Is it two boys?
Yep.
Okay, two boys, and I'm married to my wife, and we have three girls. And so when I see a woman that's killing it in tech, I'm like, yo, go for it. I'm so excited. You know what I mean? And when I see a woman who is in tech with kids, I'm like, yo, let's go, because I know it's hard. I know it's not easy. Like, how do you balance? Because I'm sure that maybe your mother who's trying to get into tech right now is watching
Mm,
this podcast, and they're like, "Yo, I can't do it. Like, I
yeah.
gotta change diapers. I have to do this." Like,
Oof.
can you kind of like encourage that mom, um, in any way?
Yeah, I would say to all my single moms out here, or maybe you're not a single mom, but you just have a newborn. and you want to pivot, I know that it's hard. Sometimes you're going to have to make sacrifices. Sometimes you have to be like, this is mommy mode, and now this is me mode. If that means you're getting up at 5 a.m., just know it really only takes 6 months to change your life. So imagine 6 months, not from now, but 6 months ago. Like, what were you doing 6 months ago? And now look at where you are. You in the same position you were in 6 months ago? Because that can be you 6 months from now. But I think people have to realize if you start today, it's just an accumulation. And every day, if you just put a little bit of effort in, you're getting closer and closer to those dreams. I don't want you to think of it as you're chasing it, but think of your goals as just like you're pulling that closer to you. You know what I mean? And so let people know what you're doing, and maybe you'll get a little extra help. Maybe just say, hey, I need a little extra help, an hour a day. Could you watch so and so? Or I just really need to do this. But just know that you can absolutely 100% do it. Is it going to be difficult? For sure. But will it be worth it? 100%.
Yeah.
Just put that time in. A little bit every day makes a difference.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. Shout out to all the moms, all the single moms, um, all the women, period, who are killing it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a wife and I have three girls. And so I'm rooting for y'all.
Yeah.
I'm rooting 100% for y'all.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the tech space and the world in general sometimes look down on y'all, and I'm like, nah, like y'all are so freaking powerful, like so freaking powerful, honestly.
I
And
appreciate it.
yeah, and so yeah, I really hope that to any mom or woman that's watching this, that advice Shay just gave, really like motivates you guys when the hard times hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to tell you. But also shout out to my boy's dad because he is very 50-50. I will say I got lucky. I got lucky. He has picked up anytime I'm like, hey, I really got to do something, no problem.
Yeah.
So, shout out to him.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So if you could give like your younger person or I can't talk. If you could give your younger self any advice, right?
Mm.
What would that be?
The advice would be to lock in.
Mm,
Please lock in because you can have all the fun you want later on. That doesn't mean you don't have fun at all. But again, if you have a goal and you set those deadlines and actually stick to it, it's like either you choose to struggle now or struggle later. You know what I mean? Either you're choosing to, be locked in now or you're going to be locked until you're 62.
mm.
And so that hard work is really it's imperative to just have that goal and stick to it. I think a lot of people, especially when you're trying to get into tech, kind of bounce around between so many different things. Stick to that one thing and finish it through and just keep going.
Yeah. When you had mentioned like locking in, it brought my attention to this thing that happened like 2 weeks ago. I was at a grocery store, and I was waiting in line, right, at the cashier, and there was this older lady. She was probably like in her 60s,
Mm,
like early 60s, and as she was like ringing the person in front of me up, she was like, "Who? Ay ay ay," right? And she kind of like touched her back, like she's tired, her back hurts, she's been standing all day, whatever, right? So I made it a point to like kind of like just talk to her, you know.
mm,
So once it was my turn, I was like, hey, mama, how you doing? And she's like, I'm good. I'm just so tired. I've been on my feet all day. I've been working for so many years. And she was like, she's like, I'm 60. I've been working so hard for the past 60 years and plus,
mm,
right? And I try my best to like motivate her. I was like, hey, you got this. Like, what time do you get off? Oh, you only have 2 more hours left. Like, you got this. I'll be praying for you, whatnot. And I put a smile on her face. So I
mm,
try to at least do my part. You know what I mean? But
mm.
when I left, I was like, man, I do not want to be in my 60s, and I mean this like respectfully. Like, I
Of
don't
course.
I don't want to be in my 60s bagging groceries. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in my 60s doing anything that I don't want to do
Yeah.
for money, to make
Mm,
an income, to make a living. You know what I mean?
mm,
And so when you mention like just lock in, I feel like it's easy for us to be it's easy for us to feel like we're young right now and we have an eternity to just
Yeah.
YOLO, do whatever we want to do. You know what I
YOLO.
mean?
Yeah.
And the reality is you don't.
Mhm.
Because like you
That's true.
mentioned, like, okay, you can take 6 months to change your life. You know what I mean? But if you decide to just BS, 6 months will come and go and come and go
Hmm.
again and come and go again. And the next thing you realize, you're 67 years old and you find
Yeah.
yourself in a place where you're like, man, how did I get here? But it was a
Mhm.
pattern of just not locking in. So I feel like when you mentioned locking in, yeah, that hit me.
Yeah. It's just like choose your heart. Either the heart
Mm,
is going to be later or now.
yeah,
But I don't want it to be later.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So let it be a little difficult now, and that's okay.
yeah.
Have that work-life balance and treat yourself. After every
Mm,
accomplishment that you finish a project, go do something. If that means getting yourself a cake, I don't know. But you have to have a laser focus
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I love it. I love it. Yo, I appreciate you for like joining this podcast. I feel like before I invited you on the podcast, well, first of all, when I first started the podcast, I listed out like at least like 10 people
Yeah.
that I was like, yeah, I need these people on this. Like, I need these people on this podcast. And you were one of them. And so,
Hey.
yeah, I appreciate you for joining this podcast. I appreciate you for your time.
Hmm.
Because I know we're all busy. And so, yeah, I appreciate you, man. So let's do this. Let's close this out.
Cool.
But before we do that, I do want you to talk about like anything that you have going on. Like anything you have going on. If
Much going on.
if you want people to know about it, your personal brand, all that, and also tell people how they can connect with you because you are
Yeah.
doing amazing stuff.
I appreciate you, big dog. So, yeah, you can find me a couple places. I think my main three platforms are YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. YouTube is more long form content, whether I'm doing a technical walkthrough with you with a project or a day in a life. LinkedIn is where I drop a lot of technical documentation or I'm giving you motivational advice. And then Instagram is like, here's some resources. Here's how you can learn this, how you can do that. And right now, I'm on my developer advocacy role, big on machine learning. My passion is machine learning. So whether that's with software development or cloud engineering, machine learning, AI, that's my jam right now. And I'm doing a lot of talks. I've been invited to a lot of events. I'm actually co-hosting a tech conference in Philly, March 20th to the 22nd. So pull up. It's called Diversitech, powered by Trabaja. It's on my page. But you can find me everywhere, Shay in the Cloud, or on my LinkedIn. Um, I don't like saying my full name. But if you find me, it's very easy to find because it's usually in my bio. Like it's even on my website. You can just go to shayinthecloud.com. All of my links are there. So I have a lot going on, but I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful. I prayed for this. I'm living in an answered prayer. So anytime I feel flustered or overwhelmed, I have to remember that I asked for this. I asked for all of these opportunities and this work. And so I'm grateful and I'm just trying to be a good servant to God. And I'm very much looking forward to what life has in store.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shay in the cloud,
In the
right?
cloud.
Shay in the cloud.
In the cloud.
We out, y'all. Peace.
Bye.